Hello. Sorry. It's my kid. He's texting already. I'm joking. I'm joking. He loved it. He told me after a soccer game, he says, "You know, Mom, tomorrow is going to be more fair because it's hockey and I'm much better in hockey." So it's like tomorrow, and then when we came off and he scored 2 goals, he goes, "You see, I told you, it was more fair today." It's funny.
Okay, who would like to start?
Well, I can.
Yeah.
Were you determined to beat the rain in the second set, or did she lose her rhythm because you basically expedited it? It was fast.
Well, I spoke to the tournament director, and it was like, "Can you help us out? Because we're kind of behind a little bit." But honestly, it was quite challenging because it was just unpredictable. It wasn't heavy rain. It was just spitting, and then you were like, don't know, and we keep getting like half an hour's not before, breaks. So it was quite challenging, but I felt like I was just really focused, and I was determined to finish today. I was determined to finish today.
Maybe at what point, players are used to to deal with rain, but at what point does it become a challenge? Is it when you have to play 2 games in a match? Is that only when it reaches that point, or two games in a day, 2 matches in a day, or can it get to become a challenge a different way?
I'm not really sure I understand your question, but
Like, how challenging? What do you need for the rain to be a challenge? Like on a day like today, it seems like it was fine. You guys are used to deal with those conditions, but how bad does it need to be for it to become a challenge for tennis players?
well, I think it is a very challenge because it's makes it impossible to play. I think other sports, with the rain, you can deal with it and still keep going. But with tennis, it's like, it makes it kind of impossible. So I don't think that the challenge is how bad of a rain. I think what I'm saying is that when it rains a little bit and you have to go back and forth, it's probably more challenging than when it's a long break and it's just pissing outside, and you look kind of like, okay, well, I got a couple hours. But in terms of scheduling, I think that is a very important topic that we need to solve, is to make tennis a bit more. I'm talking not about the weather, but the late matches, the late nights are really difficult on players, and I think that we should be looking in maybe having not cut off time, but reasonable time that fans are also respected and not sitting there waiting until the midnight. And doubling up, I think, for players is we practice a lot, we work hard to be able to sustain 2 matches in a day. So if you ask me, would I rather play till midnight or come back next day and play 2 matches, I probably would pick 2 matches, because you can't substitute a good night's sleep, and for recovery for athletes, it is vital.
Hi, Vika. I think with today's win, you're the winningest player at the WTA 1000 level
Oh, yeah?
of all time. Yeah.
Wow.
So congratulations.
I'll get a cake.
No comment. But I'm curious, with all of your success at the 1000 level and the titles that you've won and the big matches that you've played, does any run of yours or any specific one kind of stand out when you think about just playing at that level?
Well, I think that stats clearly says that I love to play big events, even with Grand Slams in Australia, I reached, I think, like 150 matches or something like that. So I do love a big stage. Specific run, I have terrible memory since I became a mom, but one of those runs, Cincinnati in 2021, was pretty amazing for me. Coming back after a long break, everybody had a long break, but I had a longer break, and I was at the point where I didn't know if I was going to play really again. And I had a I had a pretty big beat down by Venus the tournament before that. So I wasn't discouraged, but I was like, oh God, like I've lost like 4 or 5 matches in a row, and never really happened in my career before. So that was a pretty remarkable run to kind of resurge from there and continue to play on tour and continue to challenge top players and still, kind of hunting for those big titles.
Okay. All right. Hi, Victoria.
Hi.
Switching gear, the organizers here will have a message ready in the event that you face Kalinina at the next round. They will have a message prepared to tell the crowd about the whole handshake thing. So my question is two-part. First of all, in light of what happened in Washington, what's your reaction in knowing that there will be that kind of message? And two, are you surprised that a year and a half later, we're just finding a sort of compromise, reasonable compromise on that?
I'm so tired of talking about this. So I would hope that finally maybe the statement will be stop talking about this. But if I am playing Kalinina, I don't know. I've shaken hands with her when we played in Adelaide this year. So I don't know. I feel like the very clear message is a personal choice of Ukrainian athletes to do that. That's not a standard practice. That's not something I would be doing. But I'm not in a position to judge. I respect somebody's decision, but it is not. I don't think it's a standard practice in sports. As I said, I don't know how many times now, I will respect and accept the choice of the other player.
But do you feel like how it happened in Washington was maybe a better way to move forward? Because apparently the reactions from the crowd were better than in other tournaments.
I think if that helps the crowd to understand the situation, that's probably a good educational process. I don't know. As I said, I don't feel like handshakes are life-changing solutions. It doesn't seem like that to me. But as I said, I will respect other people's choices.
Sorry to switch back gears. Just talking about the 1000s. To most casual fans or tennis fans, they know the Grand Slams. They understand how difficult they are to win, how important they are. But just with the 1000s kind of being that next tier, what is it that makes them difficult?
First of all, I watched your Netflix explanation of the WTA Tour, and I gotta say it was pretty interesting to listen because of I was like, how much can you? It was like you need to explain it to a real beginner, like the real person who never ever seen that. So I could see the challenge that you had to face there. The thousands. I feel like WTA and ATP itself. I'm not sure that they are too distinguished from Grand Slams, really. Especially people who understand tennis. There's a tour. I think the fact that we have different organizations just confusing people, but we're all doing the same thing. It's pretty much same rules, a little bit there and there. Somebody needs to feel like they're different, but. I think the more simple we can make the events and just to kind of explain to people this is all part of the same ranking system. It's all part of the same race to the final, and not to really make too much of a difference because thousands now are growing. We still need to grow them higher. The events are getting bigger draws starting next year. There's going to be more events that have bigger draws, 2-week events. So I don't think we should make it like 10 Grand Slams a year because it's quite challenging. But I do feel that there is a lot in tennis that needs to be simplified, specifically schedule. I've been talking about it for time, but as a fan, as the marketing perspective of tennis, you never know when anybody's playing. It's impossible to promote it. It's tough for tournaments. It's tough for players. So we got to find. And I work really hard with my colleagues to find a solution where it is better for everybody. Is maybe something that we can talk about is shortening the tennis matches, where you can have predictable slots, add a little bit more spice and drama to a shorter event where you have, kind of every point matter. So yeah, I feel like there should be space and also willingness to look and see, okay, how can we actually grow the sport, and how we can attract people and crowds, and especially young kids to come and watch tennis. So I'm not sure only Netflix show will do that.
Follow up on that then. Just in terms of thinking about out-of-the-box solutions to how the sport is kind of packaged from a marketing perspective. Obviously, there's tradition that drives a lot of the sport, and those two things kind of come head-to-head sometimes. How do you, as somebody who sounds like you want to look at options to kind of change things, how do you negotiate that against the idea of tennis is best of 3 sets, it's best of 5 sets, it's 2-week, whatever it is, like all of these sorts of things, like tie breaks, we want to play forever, all that.
You got to look at the market. You got to look at viewership. You got to look at where the directions of other sports, other leagues are going, and just kind of be. You don't want to change tennis to not be tennis, but doubles, for example, in Wimbledon has changed from 5 sets to why were they playing 5 sets at this? Times are changing. Physicality of sport is changing. If we're talking about having quality events, if you're shortening matches, players are healthier to play more, you have more rivalries, there is benefit. We just sometimes have people who are, first of all, don't participate in tennis, don't play anymore for a long, long time. And I think it is the balance. I don't have all the answers, but I think that it's worth looking and compromising and trying. Some things can fail, but you can go back. But to try and see, and we see I don't know, what is it, UTS, how exciting it is for young kids to come and show. I'm not saying let's do UTS on the tour, but let's look at some options, because some of the meetings we had with the Grand Slam, the best idea they came up with to add more drama is to have women play out of 5 sets. And I'm sorry, that was just the dumbest thing I've heard. Thank you.